Wow, wow. All right, I love this E46.
A few moments later.
What do you say? If you can't slide, you can't drive. That's it. That's just the rule. Bitch, I'm gassed up. Bitch, I'm gassed up. Bitch, I'm gassed up. Bitch, I'm gassed up.
Rum, 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 I'm an idiot. Rum, rum, rum.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of TOOFAST TV, and today we're going to be installing coilovers on an E46. What's in the box? Hey! Because they knew I would need a snack while working on this. Did I get stickers? Because that's honestly the most important thing. And they gave me end links. I like to keep bubble wrap because I get stressed out and it's not popping. It's not popping! Wow, what a fail. It's still now I'm feeling. Are you serious? Oh look. The springs for the rears.
Save this for later.
We figured we'd start off the job by attacking the front first. You guys already know the drill. Jack up the car, get some jack stands ready, and take the wheels off. Now that we have the wheels off, we could start with the disassembly of the front struts. We noticed that one of the end-link nuts was seized to the strut housing, so in order to remove it, we needed to heat it up with a torch. We removed an 18mm bolt, which is what holds the strut housing to the knuckle.
Oh, wow. Alright, I love this E46.
We removed the first end-link nuts with a 16mm swivel socket. We chose to remove the top pad from the strut assembly and drop the spring down in order to remove the OEM strut assembly. This was necessary because at the lowest point of the lower control arm's travel, the strut was unable to come out of the knuckle. There are 3 13mm nuts on the top pad that needed to be removed. With the top pad removed and spring uncompressed, we were able to remove the strut from the knuckle and angle it out from the vehicle. Repeat steps for the next side. As you can see, the OEM front struts were really rough, and you could see how worn out the bump stop and dust boots were. Next, we took the new front coilovers and mounted them into the chassis, securing the top hat with 3 12mm nuts. We then removed the second 16mm nut mounted to the sway bar to install the end links provided by BC, which includes a 17mm nut. The joint of the end link needed to be held in place in order for the nut to be removed. The line-up pin needs to be centered between the split portion of the knuckle. In order to mate the knuckle to the bottom sleeve of the coilover, we had to raise up the lower control arm using the jack. Once the coilover is mounted to the knuckle, go ahead and secure the end link to the coilover. Repeat steps on the next side and mount your wheels upon completion. Next, we tackled the rear. The rears are slightly different as the spring is separate from the shock and will require individual installation. We supported the knuckle with the jack upon removing an 18mm bolt that secured the shock to the knuckle. This prevented the hub assembly from dropping violently. We next removed the two 13mm nuts located on top hats to remove the shock. We removed the trunk liners using a clip remover tool and a flathead to access the top hats. As you can see, the OEM rear shocks were also extremely worn out. To remove the rear springs, we used a pry bar as well as brute strength to force down the control arm and release the spring. Make sure to keep the OEM coil spring spacers as these are required for the new springs. We found it was best to adjust and lock the new springs prior to installing them, as the location of the lock rings were difficult to access while installed on the car. Next, we took the new rear shocks and mounted them into the chassis, securing the top hat with two 12mm nuts. In order to secure the spring and shock, we jacked up the rear hub assembly and mounted the 18mm bolt through the shock and into the knuckle. We then adjusted the ride height to personal preference and locked it into place using the perch keys provided. And that's pretty much it for the install.
Alright guys, that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And make sure you like this video and press the subscribe button down low.
TOOFAST TV.
Hey,
Yeah.
he already knows what it is.
I know what it is.
Gang-ish.
So high off this rubber.
You're laughing at the same time.
Can't you can't drive. It is what it is.